I have a Sony with model number XBR-65X850D, and when I plug it in, I get no power. The standby light does not turn on. So let's open it up and find out what's going on. And as well, I have a video on how to open it up in the top right corner. So we just removed the back cover, everything is still connected, and we just plugged in the TV back to power. So let's do some voltage checks. I have my negative lead to ground, and looking at the legend over here, it says the third pin on the bottom row is our standby 3.3 volts. So let's go ahead and give that a check. And as you can tell on the multimeter, we do have that standby voltage. And I want to check also our 12 volt line, which if we look over here is the 4th, 5th, 7th, 8th, and 9th pin on the bottom. So we'll check those down here. Oh, I'm not making contact. Let me try again. Okay, here we go. And as we can see, we have the 12.8 volts. So what that means is our power supply is providing power to the main board, but the main board is not allowing the set to turn on completely, and also is not allowing the standby light to even turn on. Now, we did do a diagnostic and we did confirm the power supply is providing power to the main board, but something I do want to mention is a no power for the 55 and 65 inch models of the 850D series. I have never seen a power supply fail. Typically it is the main board. So let's take a closer look and see what could be going on with that main board. We have 3 items that could cause an issue. Number 1 would be the main processor that's located under the heatsink. Number 2 would be the HDMI processor to the right. And lastly, the eMMC, which is the chip that holds the software. This is the most common failure. However, it is also very difficult to identify. So we're going to do, by process elimination, check these 2 chips for shorts, making sure that everything's okay there. And if it is, then we'll know the eMMC needs to be replaced. So let's start by removing the heatsink. We'll flip the board over. Where are my pliers? And we have 4 pins holding in the heatsink. We'll go ahead and pinch them and push them through. All right. And now we're going to focus on some of the capacitors around the processor. Now, because the processor does not have any exposed pins, we're going to be checking some of the capacitors around it for shorts. And of course, the capacitors themselves are not supposed to be shorted, so if we do detect a short, it will be because the processor itself is shorted. So let's check over here and see we have 5.6 kilo ohms. We'll check this one over here, 1.3 kilo ohms. Let's check a couple of the small ones on the right side. Oh, and I think I detected something, but I could have actually just been slipping with my lead and making improper contact. All right, and we are getting 3.7, so that's better. We'll do another random check over here. And this one is showing about 35 kilo ohms, which I was not expecting the processor to go out. Typically, that only happens if there's a lightning strike, which if we do see that happening, usually the silicon image chip, which is the HDMI processor, is the one that will be affected first. Now, when that happens, we will see 0 ohm on the capacitors around it. So we'll do the same thing, and we'll do a couple random capacitor checks. And I know that these capacitors are supposed to be shown around 35 ohms, and 33.6, so that's close enough. 33.8, 35.5, we'll check a couple more, 39.6. All right, so we know that the silicon image, the HDMI processor chip is not shorted, so that is not the issue, which means then by process of elimination, our eMMC over here will need to be replaced. So let's go ahead and get that started. I just had my technician Juan finish the eMMC replacement on the main board, and if you want more details on how we do that, you can check out our video in the top right corner. So we installed it back in, we put the TV back together, and we should be seeing our standby light turning on here. Hey, perfect, look at that. So the TV just turned on, we have a picture, which of course we did not before. So we'll go ahead and do some further checks, but right now it looks like we have a successful repair. If you like the video, if you like the content, leave us a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.